Hello solo leveling fans and welcome back to a new video. Real quick before we get started, I just wanted to shout out today's comment of the video, and it's this one right here. Apologies to everyone that was trying to join the server but the link was invalid. I made a new link and I left that below in the video description, and I sent it out to everyone that was trying to join. So hopefully now that is fixed, and do not worry, this link is not going to expire anytime soon. So yeah guys, we'll be waiting for you at the Discord server. See you there. But with that being said and out of the way, let's get straight into today's video. Now today we're going to be talking about a very popular topic that a lot of you guys have been requesting for ages, and that is basically the best stats on each hunter, especially the SSRs. Today we're going to be covering the SSRs. And I know a lot of you guys have told me to cover all the hunters, but it would take a little bit too long for my liking, so I'll probably make that in a different video. And we're talking about basically, we're talking about the best stats, not the artifacts. Artifacts is going to be a different video. We're basically talking about these stats right here. Which ones are the most important when it comes down to your hunters? Which ones should you be prioritizing when it comes down to building your hunters? And that is basically what we are covering today. So yeah, the first thing that you guys need to know is that different hunters scale off of different attributes or different stats. So for example, to know which stat your hunter scales off of, all you have to do is go to the skills tab right here, and you will see that they either scale off of attack. For example, Alicia here scales off of attack, Bake here scales off of defense, and Emma, for example, scales off of HP. So there are three attributes that your hunters scale off of. All right, now for Alicia, for starters, as you can see here, attack is very, very important. All of her abilities scale off of attack, and that is basically what you want to be focusing on. So if you go ahead and look here, these are all the stats that you get for each character. Obviously, every character has all these stats. They are all the same, but which ones should you be prioritizing when it comes down to Alicia? Now, for most DPS, this is going to apply, and I want you guys to understand that these will go for most of the characters or most of your SSR hunters when it comes down to DPS. The only exception will be Yosoyeon and Choi, and I'll explain why in a second. But for now, you have to prioritize attack, obviously, for all your DPS characters, followed by critical hit rate, and you need to get this number to about 45%. That's the sweet spot for it. And then critical hit damage needs to be around 150% or 140. Let's say 140. I think that's a very reasonable number. It could sit there very, very nicely. And obviously like after that, you need to focus on damage increase, because that is just a damage multiplier that you guys need to be worrying about. 8.4% is very, very good here. Obviously, it's going to vary from one hunter to another, but as long as you guys boost those numbers, they should be more than fine. So yeah, damage increase is the next stat, and then lastly is the defense spend. Again, this will apply for all your hunters except for like maybe a couple of hunters, like I said, Choi and Yosoyeon, and I'll get to the why in a second. But yeah, so to cover things up, attack is the first one, critical hit rate is the second, critical hit damage third, damage increase fourth, and defense pen is fifth. So yeah, these are the main stats that you should be focusing on. Now this will apply to, again, Alicia, will apply to Cha, will apply to Mere, and will apply to most of your other hunters like SM Bake. Of course, I don't have SM Bake here, but still it applies for SM Bake, and that is basically the main DPS that you guys are be talking about. All right, now moving on to the exceptions here. The exception basically being Yosoyeon, and why I said that she doesn't really have the same build is because Yosoyeon benefits a lot from defense spend, and her team also benefits a lot from defense spend. So when it comes down to building Yosoyeon, again, you should be focusing attack, you should be focusing critical hit rate and critical hit damage, not so much, but defense spend is a major factor, as well as damage increase. That doesn't mean you should like not be putting any critical hit rate or critical hit damage. It is still important, but again, as you can see here, it's not really as important as like defense spend or damage increase here, or your attack in general. So yeah, focus attack, focus defense spend, focus damage increase. Those are the three main stats for Yosoyeon, and then obviously add as much crit and critical hit damage as you can. So 35% is not bad at all. 135, again, that's almost at the perfect mark. So I think our Yosoyeon is probably the best character built in on this account, if I'm being honest. Again, this is my free-to-play account, guys, so it's not really adjusted as much, but I'm telling you, if I was to adjust these characters, this is what I would do. Now, when it comes down to Choi, he is a different story. Again, he's another exception because Choi cannot crit. He has basically all the crit that you guys have on Choi will not be converted to anything because this man cannot crit. So do not waste any crit artifacts on Choi, and your critical hit damage again is not going to be that important. So again, focus on things like attack, damage increase for sure, defense pen is a must here, and obviously precision to deal as much damage as you can. Now with Choi out of the way, and that's the last of the DPS, I believe so. So we've covered all the DPS here when it comes down to our hunters. We got Alicia, we got Cha, Mere, Asembek, Yosoyeon, and also Choi. So that covers up the DPS faction. Now if we go ahead and move on to our breakers here, you'll notice that these are the 4 breakers that we have. Obviously Lim as well, so that makes 5. So these are the 5 breakers that we have in the game currently. And if you go ahead and show look at their stats here, we'll go ahead and start off with Bake here. You'll see that they he basically scales off of defense, and when that is the case, you basically have to focus on defense a lot, because that is his main power source, or his main source of damage. So you're not focusing as much on attack here. You're mainly focusing on defense and defense percentage when it comes down to your stats here. Defense pen is definitely a must. You don't really bother too much with damage increase, but you can always go for a critical hit and critical hit damage, because still he scales off of defense and he doesn't scale off of attack. And as you can see here, I know I said we're not covering artifacts, but if we were to look at some of the stats here that Bake scales off of, if we go ahead and press change artifact here, you'll see that the 3 main stats for Bake here will be defense, critical hit, and I believe light damage. So yeah, there you go. Defense, light damage, and critical hit rate. Those are the main 3 stats that you should be worrying about when it comes down to your defense character here, when it comes down to Bake. Now, and honestly, I think this applies for every other defense scaler. So for example, our boy here, Woo Jin-cho, he also scales the same way, but he obviously works a little bit different in the sense that he needs a little bit more defense spend. So he wouldn't really focus too much on crit, but he would focus a little bit more when it comes down to defense spend. So if we go ahead and look at his skills here, you'll see that he scales off of defense again, and he really needs that defense to be doing most of his damage. And if we go ahead and check our artifacts to see like what are the best stats when it comes down to his artifacts, you will see that he scales off of defense pen and defense. There you go, defense and defense pen, and obviously wind damage. So those are the main stats that you should be focusing on again when it comes down to Woo Jin-cho. Now for our HP scalers, we basically want HP percentage. Now this is the only stat that you're going to go for HP for percentage over the raw stat. So instead of going for HP, you'll be going for HP percentage, and that is because our users here, they scale off of HP, and the HP percentage was way larger in the sense that it gives more to your hunters than just the raw HP itself. So a percentage of the HP percentage of the total HP is basically better than the HP, the standard HP given just as a whole. So yeah, look at this. The user scales off of max HP here. Again, you should be definitely focusing on HP for her. You should be focusing on crit when it comes down to Jiwoo, and I'll go ahead and I'll explain why in a second. Obviously, we all know how Jiwoo's weapon work, so you'll see here that she basically has a ton of defense here. That's how you know that excuse me, not defense, she has basically a ton of HP here. You should be focusing a lot of on HP, not her defense. Do not focus her defense. You should be focusing on HP again, because she scales off of HP. And critical hit rate, obviously, again, this needs to go a little bit more up to around basically the 40% mark or the 45% mark, if that is an option. And again, critical hit damage could be a little bit more to 140% to sit in that nice spot. And you can focus on obviously defense pen if you want to, but obviously I think it's HP, critical hit rate, and critical hit damage for Jiwoo. Now when it comes down to Emma is a little bit of a different story, because yes, she scales off of HP, but she also scales off of defense pen. And again, you can use the artifacts to help you here. If we go ahead and press change artifact, you'll see that she scales off of HP, but also defense pen and fire damage. So you want to basically focus on that when it comes down to your hunters. Again, we'll go here, focus on your HP. If you're a breaker and you scale off of HP, go for that. Get as much HP as you can. HP percentage is obviously even better, because again, like I said, she benefits a lot from that. Defense pen here is another stat you should be definitely focusing on. And if we scroll a little bit down, you'll see that there is fire damage here. I don't really have the artifacts for Emma. She needs a little bit of more love, not gonna lie. She needs a lot of love actually on this account. But yeah, That is how I would build her if I got the chance. Now with most of the breakers out of the way, we only have Lim here. He's the only hunter that is left when it comes down to our breakers. And if we go ahead and look at the skills here, you'll see that he scales off of attack. While that is true, you can always just play him as a supportive role. He doesn't really do that much damage. He's mainly used as a breaker, as a dark breaker, because he really isn't the best when it comes down to damage. You just really need to build him in a way that he's a hybrid between attack and a tank, or like a breaker. So you go ahead and focus some of his attack, obviously, and again, if we go ahead and look at his artifacts here, it will tell you which stats you should be focusing on. So we go ahead and press change artifact here, and you should see basically the stats that you should be focusing. Again, that's your attack and damage increase, so go ahead and focus those stats. Obviously, dark damage, if you get basically the jewelry set there, if you have jewelry set with dark damage on it, that will definitely help out a ton. So yeah, now that all the breakers are out of the way, let's get to the supports. Now, supports are obviously the same when it comes down to builds that how they scale and stuff. They will always definitely scale from either defense or HP. And if we go ahead and look at Malin, for example, you'll see that she scales off of her HP again. So what you want to build here and focus, again, you guys get the idea by now, is basically focus her HP, focus her crit. And again, if you guys don't know what to build or what to go for, just go to your artifact set, press change artifact, and you should be focusing these three main stats up top here. So HP, healing given, and critical hit rate. This also applies for the artifacts, but also applies for the for building your character and like prioritizing stats when it comes down to your character. So yeah, guys, I think you guys get the idea by now. I'm not going to keep you here for too long. You understand the idea. Min, again, he's a great support when it comes down to an overall support. Obviously, he again scales off of HP. If we go ahead and go to his skills, he max HP again, as you can see here. He benefits from crit as well, because he gives that some of it to your teammates as well, so make sure to prioritize that. Again, one last time, just go ahead and click here, change artifact, look at the main stats, HP, critical hit damage, and healing given increase. Obviously, these are the stats that you should be focusing on. And with that being said, guys, I think that's it. That really brings us to the end of our video. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found it insightful. If you did, don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Join us in the community when it comes down to the Discord. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Happy leveling. Peace.